legends in the making, they fight. Kyle and Jacob will lead you tonight. So lay down your arms, there's no chance of victory. You punk ass bitches, they're better than the Restiny. Yeah, yeah.
And that was quite the intro,
Wow. Shocked.
right? That
Pleased.
was amazing.
Erect. There are many descriptors
There's several things that we could say.
come to mind after that one.
And that was courtesy of our good friend, Stephen Dillard.
Wow.
Hopefully.
Much better than mine.
Much
Much
I don't
better
know
than
about
mine.
that.
No, it was.
You're hard on yourself. Hard on yourself. However, we do have, aside from the great introduction by Stephen Dillard, we have a guest with us today. We know, we love him. His name is Paul James Hudson. We call him PJ.
Do we? Do we call him PJ?
Call him PJ.
I don't think he appreciates
He
that.
loves it.
That's not true.
That is absolutely true. Paul, I'm going to need you to scoot up and talk to the microphone. In fact, much better.
Pleb.
Okay. So we have a guest with us this week, which is fantastic. PJ's been a friend of ours for a long time. He's quite the gamer. He plays them. He's not as good. He's like me. We enjoy him, but that's about it.
Really bad.
Yeah. So we have him on, so we're going to go ahead and discuss a few things, get a third opinion. He is our third wheel on this tricycle.
Let's get a quick bio.
Oh, yeah,
A
Paul.
gaming bio for all the ladies listening.
Oh, for all you ladies.
PJ is les Inglés.
Well, I'm a
Yo.
Cancer, so.
Oh, side
Oh.
note, you also had it.
Oh, man. Too soon.
Had it, but beat it.
Bye.
I wish it would have won.
Anyway.
Damn it, Paul, I wish the Cancer had won.
No, but your gaming background, though, Paul, to let the listeners know that your opinion matters more than Kyle's. Because
that is
Because
true.
I think it does. I think it does.
Probably.
Well, started off on N64, played a lot of sports games, and then I started playing RPGs. Played WoW forever.
Who introduced you to WoW, Paul?
Some douchebag.
Yes, that sounds about right. Was he handsome?
He was handsome.
There we go.
He was handsome. That was actually Kyle who introduced me to WoW.
Debatable.
Played that. Played a lot of sword and sorcery kind of games, Dragon Age, or Elder Scrolls, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
Started playing Destiny. Played Halo. So I thought, why not? Having fun.
Here we are.
Playing a Warlock, level 27-ish.
7-ish, yeah.
7-ish, yeah. Working on those
26-ish.
Ascendant shards, but Bungie is such jerks.
They hate you.
Yeah.
I actually got an email from them.
They want me
Letting
to
me
fail
know
at this game.
This is the list of people we hate and want to fail. You were at the top of the list,
Yeah,
Paul.
yeah, I believe it.
It's just weird that they would take the time.
Yes,
That
I'm
was
I'm
together.
nodding right now instead of this is
Yeah, that's a very
an audio
that
podcast. Yes, I agree with you.
translates very well
Yes,
over
by
a
nodding.
podcast,
Mhm,
Jacob.
yes.
Very, very well. No. So now that you understand that you can trust and respect PJ,
Not my name.
it is absolutely your name. We're going to go ahead and discuss Destiny. And, Paul, last episode we discussed how we felt about it so far. You mentioned that you're enjoying it. And you said you were a warlock?
I'm a Warlock.
Warlock, okay. I knew that. I've definitely played for hours with you. And I don't know
The space
your
magic
class.
is strong.
The space magic is strong with this one.
Yes, indeed.
So, Paul, what's your favorite aspect of Destiny so far?
I really enjoyed the raid.
Right.
Playing solo, I'm kind of getting burnt out on it. Just kind of the grind. But that's, every RPG, there's a grind.
Well, they took out the loot cave, huh?
They did take out the loot cave. But even with the loot cave, I wasn't enjoying it. I mean, sitting for an hour or two,
Right.
shooting your auto rifle, or, your scout rifle over and over, it gets boring.
Yes, it does.
And they really need to do something about that because, I mean, if your community goes and does that, it means that there's something wrong with your game.
Right.
I mean, loot is very important.
Especially
But-
after 20 in this game.
Mhm.
It's very important.
It's the only thing that's important.
Yeah.
But you need to have something to do that's a little bit more enjoyable.
Right.
Now, you're not going to please everyone. Like, I couldn't care less about PvP. But other people do, which is great.
I would disagree because this podcast has managed to please everyone that listens to it.
Well, not
so
true.
Bungie
So far.
probably could. So far, everyone that's listened
I
to
mean,
it has been pleased.
My email has been blown up, and I didn't even give out my email on the original one. People have found it,
Wow.
and they just it's high
Whoa.
praises for me mostly.
Yeah, mostly you. So yeah, go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
But they need to make the pursuit of loot a little bit more enjoyable.
Agreed.
Like I said, raids were awesome.
The raid is fantastic.
The first time we downed it, that feeling of like back in BC WoW, where
Right.
you just bang your head against the boss
BC is
over and
Burning
over,
Crusade.
over and over and over again, and then you finally get it. That just elation, that joy. That,
It's awesome.
Everybody over vent that's just cheering and screaming and all that sort of thing. It's a lot of fun.
Well, it reminds me of Maloriak when we were raiding. And
That's a boss in WoW.
Thank you. What was that? Cataclysm? It was Cataclysm.
That was Cataclysm.
Cataclysm. Maloriak. We wiped on it like 85 times.
Approximately.
Roughly. I mean, literally almost 100 times. We finally downed it. Everyone was pumped. It was amazing. I was watching the stream when y'all were downing the boss in the vault for the first time because I wasn't able to be on. My wife was sick, and I wasn't of level, and I'm awful. Y'all refused to take me. But there's a short list of reasons why. And then, but I was watching the stream, and I could tell how, I mean, even without even being able to hear, I knew, based on what I had seen in the conversation about how long it had taken, it was an exciting moment. So I say that's an excellent segue into our first topic. Let's actually discuss Vault. That is the end-all, be-all for
now.
Destiny at this point. For now.
For now.
Absolutely for
Yeah.
now.
Vault of Glass is almost everything you could ask for in the type of game that Bungie's put out. Again, at the heart of the game, like I discussed last episode, at the heart of the game, it is about shooting things.
Right.
But when you're wanting to do, a 6-man raid content, you have to have something beyond that. You have to have elements of gameplay that require more coordination than not dying and shooting things, while still remaining at the heart of the game about not dying and shooting things.
Right.
And so Vault's a good mix of that. There's, 6 different aspects of fights in, with a few different other activities mixed in, one being the Gorgon's Maze, but we'll talk about that in a sec. But, Vault is good. Thoroughly enjoy it, coming from a MMO background, coming, again, a WoW-type background of what I think of when raids. It definitely kind of, it's satisfying. It's definitely satisfying for a casual group that aren't as experienced with this, because it's a nice segue into it. The Bungie did a really good job of building up the complexity of the fights as you go on. The very first one, just opening the gate, pretty simple mechanics, pretty, getting people involved into it. And it gradually builds up to the final boss, sort of culminating in everything that you've done thus far in the raid. I also really enjoy that, like, each of the mechanics of the fight are sort of, that they call to previous mechanics that you faced in the raid. So it's kind of like a group learning experience. Like, okay, so we did this first activity, we kind of learned how we're going to do it. This next activity builds on what you've learned, and so on and so forth, until you reach the sort of pentultimate of it when you're adding everything together. And it really is. It's an enjoyable experience. And to me, it's the thing right now that really is holding the PvE together, because there isn't a whole lot. Again, there's not a whole lot outside of strikes, outside of, kind of making your own content with patrols and faction leveling and things like that. So the raid really has to be the focal point, and I think they did a good job on it.
Yeah, I totally agree. As many times as I died to that silly boss where you have to jump the platforms, I call it a boss because I died probably more
The
times.
jumping boss.
Probably more times there
I
than
didn't die once.
any of the other bosses.
You did die once,
Technically.
you did die once.
Not from missing. Go
But that was really cool. I mean, you have a platformer aspect in your shooter game. That's really cool to me. It takes timing, which is, video games are, pattern recognition, hand-eye coordination, and problem solving. That's what most video games just boil down to.
what
Or at
they
least
do.
that's what I
It's
tell
the
all my
basics.
teachers.
Right. Yeah, to justify
Oh, you're a
it.
video gamer?
That's what we tell everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just great skill builders.
So that was really cool. I mean, you don't get a lot of that in other stuff, or at least in multiplayer games.
Right.
And
Yeah, yeah.
okay, I don't know if we have handles or not.
Oh no, real names. Real names.
Like Jacob was saying, they introduced oracles the first or second boss, and then you had them through the rest of the instance. Here's something that you need to deal with, and we're going to leave them there for you. and they can start taking a backseat in your mind. It's like, oh yeah, but I need to still kill this.
Right. I mean, I went through it for the first time just 2 nights ago, 3 nights ago.
It was a couple.
Wednesday?
It was last week. It was
Well, no, y'all
yeah.
went through it. Oh yeah, you're right. It's been a while.
We went through, yeah. So we went through the first week it came out. Kyle came out the second week it came out, and this week, now the third week that it's been out, we're going to try to do some hard mode progression in it. Which, cross fingers, hopefully we'll be able to make some headway in there.
I probably won't be a part of that.
Some people need to shore up their character a little more. Not pointing fingers or anything, but
Titan Play was a little sketch.
Titan Play did seem
Titan
sketch.
Play very sketch.
I will say this: when Jacob and I each time Jacob and I were grouped together, we had 0 problems, and I think that's primarily
true. Kyle
me.
was like 80% of the reasoning why our side was just permanently locked down.
I would turn around and there'd be a group of things that were mostly dead, and I'd be like, "Oh, I should join in." Like,
So you and Jacob partnered?
yeah.
So we did also.
Oh, you
on
were
our
Jacob
run.
and y'all's run?
Yeah.
We had
And we did well too.
I said we had shit on lock.
So
Everybody
really,
else
I
is
think
the
the key
problem.
aspect of here is I just need to be carried by someone.
Okay.
honestly.
Naturally.
Well, we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it with
Yeah, so-
the clan.
And so the Volta Glass, I guess, for people that haven't played it yet, it's again, like I'll kind of get back to what I was saying is again for the newer players to this style of play, because I feel like Destiny is kind of a game that bridges a little bit of a gap between MMO players such as ourselves,
Right.
and to some extent we're kind of FPS players too,
Yeah.
but you have your hardcore base of FPSers that aren't really used to this type of gameplay. So Volta, it really does a good job of introducing them to the concept of raiding, while at the same time, it still offers a complexity for groups going in expecting it and knowing these kind of elements and having an organizational, setup with raid leaders or
Right.
having assignments and things like that. It still offers a satisfying experience for those. I mean, we were a pretty, I would say, not to pat ourselves on the backs, but the first time we went through Vault, I felt like we were a pretty coordinated group. We were all
absolutely.
very aware of, our surroundings and very aware of how we can operate together. And we still were wiping for hours, on the last boss in particular, because, it is something that, it's at the heart of it. It is an experience that is complex. It builds upon itself, and I do enjoy that. But it's not so overly complex as to that. To some degree, that was my complaint with a lot of raid designs for other MMOs. WoW, in particular, is a lot of times they're trying to outsmart themselves. I feel, or you build these things for the highest up, and a lot of times you can really alienate groups that are newer in that. So I think Vault is a nice median. And, they have an optional hard mode to it, which
Right.
hopefully, we'll be experiencing this week. Hopefully that'll be a little bit more of a top-end sort of, higher level of commitment type raid that'll be a little bit more satisfying in that regard.
Yeah, and one of the things that everyone that I talked to out of the group that spent that first week wiping for several hours on the last boss in the vault, everyone still, I mean, literally every single person I talked to said it was a blast.
Yeah, no,
and
it
you
was fun.
wiped for hours. I mean,
Yeah,
I
we-
watched a lot of the stream.
We wiped for, we started the raid. The first night we did it, we started at 6:30, called it at 2:30. So, it was a rough night. But we came back. It was one of those things. We came back, a couple days later and did it in about an hour. So
Yeah.
it's
And then the week when y'all took me, we wiped on him for maybe
like
35 minutes?
something
I
like
mean,
that. Yeah, it was an
and
easy.
that was mostly because of the fact that you rotated out some people who had done it and brought in a few people who hadn't. Everyone who had done it seemed to know what they were doing. It was very
Yeah.
like it and it was a blast. I mean, even though I was garbage and so underleveled, it was a blast.
Yeah, I mean, if this is Bungie's first effort into raids, I can only be excited about what else they
Right.
have to give to us. Because, again, a lot of complaint and some warranted is it is and it isn't an unfinished product. It
Right.
is in the sense that it is a game by itself to consumers or to us players to play and to be taken as a entity in and of itself. But at the same time, it's something that we know is going to be continually growing and developing and shaping and changing based on how we react to it and how Bungie
Right.
adapts to these things. So it's an exciting experience in and of itself, but it also leaves me anticipating what they have in store for us next.
Right.
So,
And one of the things that we touched on last week in the podcast is they have seen thus far, they put out that the image with the calendar of different things that are coming our way. It seems like a decent amount of expansion or just events, and the vault came and now we have. I wouldn't quite say it's on farm status. Would we say it's on farm status, normal mode?
I mean, normal mode, yeah.
Probably.
The vault is I guess that's a good subject of a raid is when you have a consistent group. Now, I wouldn't say that obviously if we had people that hadn't done it as a large portion of it, but when you've done it and you've done it well enough, you should be able to repeat that pretty consistently. The only exception being when we up the difficulty,
right? Well, and
I'm looking forward to. So,
and we are better than the Restiny. That's not just the podcast.
That
is the clan.
That is true,
and it's more of a lifestyle.
It is more of a lifestyle. Honestly, I walk around and just
No.
everybody I see on the streets, I'm just like, you are so beneath me.
I am so much better than you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like that's the way you have to live life.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise,
Which
you'd
is
be
a
like
good
the
segue.
Restiny of people.
Which is a good segue into our new feature every time Paul is on, and that's what I like to call Paul's Life's Tips.
yeah, Paul.
So,
let's do 3 life hacks.
Paul.
from you.
Go ahead, and we're going to put you on the spot here to give us
to all of our listeners.
give us one life hack
just one
to
way
being
improve
better
your life.
than the Restiny.
Let me go ahead and Google that real fast.
High five. That was a high five in the background
was
because
excellent.
we, Paul's going to find out how to eat an apple the right way.
But you just start at the end.
Oh, that's not how you eat an apple at all.
I just
end?
I cut
What
them up.
end? It's
I
a
cut them up into
circle.
slices and serve them with my peanut butter.
Peanut butter or a nice caramel.
Yeah.
That's an interesting word. Okay, no. So
New topic.
yeah, new topic.
No. New podcast segment. Living better than the Restiny.
Living better than the Restiny.
You heard it here first. No edits.
No,
we're
none.
we're rolling with this.
This is
We're
how it
going
goes.
with it. So
It's a living being. This podcast.
yes, dryer sheets
Mm-hmm.
under the pillowcases smell fantastic. You're welcome.
Oh, there we
You're
go,
welcome.
everyone.
Dropping the mic if I were
Jacob,
holding it.
Yeah, and I prefer you not drop the mic. It's
Yeah.
fairly new.
Fairly.
Well, excellent. So that is going to be
Yeah.
a regular
So you
segment.
can expect more brilliant ways to shape your life to be better than the Restiny. Damn, we didn't do it that time. All right, all three. 1, 2, 3. Better than
The Restiny.
There you go. Sweet.
That's perfect. I feel like that is. See, now there's more than one reason to listen to this podcast.
Exactly.
Before it was just Jacob.
Yeah.
Now you've got Jacob and
Eventually, when we just talk about everything for Destiny, it's just going to be on us on here, just like going through YouTube and annotating life hack videos for everyone.
then
So-
claiming them as our own.
and then you can listen to them instead of watching them, so you can be somewhat clueless as to
Exactly.
what we're talking about.
But you'll hear it.
And there goes half of our subscribers.
Yeah, half of our subscribers.
All
that
8
means
of them.
we
All
lost.
Bye.
No. Damn. But so now
But we got Kyle's mom though. She's
Yeah,
on.
she-
She's on board now.
dedicated. She
Yeah.
will never stop listening, despite the fact that I've promised it will be embarrassing for her to hear, and embarrassing that other people will be hearing.
This has
it.
been a good episode too. There have been no foul language remarks.
Well, I've been editing Paul. Paul has been. It's been pretty profane.
That's true. That whole anti-Semitic rant he went off in
It
the
was
middle of Vaulted
shocking
Glass.
to say anything.
Well, yeah.
It was very. That you know what I hope that the edit was nice and smooth.
You would barely notice it.
I
was
will
there.
barely notice it. That's good. Fuck.
He's going to just put 5 seconds of just
I'm
dead
just gonna
air.
get the beep, 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 beep. I'm gonna unnecessarily edit you when you're saying something completely appropriate.
Fantastic.
That way, if your parents happen to listen, they will be disappointed in you, Paul. And I'll text your mom, or I'll just tell her later when I see her. Oh, a mom joke.
That wasn't funny.
No, it wasn't. It's really awful. I'll edit that out.
Can't believe you went there.
Jeez. Well, okay, so Vaulted Glass, fantastic. Another event that was introduced to us about a week ago is the Queen and her bounties. Let's talk about that briefly. I know you can't see this because, again, Jacob is doing
I'm very animated.
visual
And
animation.
the facial animation doesn't. So the Queen's Bounty. It was a good idea in theory. This is me just shooting
Yeah,
from
no.
the cuff here. Added a new level of bounties. And added an opportunity to get epics. The only problem is the bounties suck.
Right.
The epics you can't turn into shards anymore. So really, for most players beyond those starting, look, it's on my alternate character I played. It was great. Two pieces of legendaries, pretty easy. But I just feel like there's no real payoff anymore to it. Once they remove the ability to shard the gear, because if you play the game and you've reached a certain point and you've started gathering your gear, you realize quickly the most important thing are the darn ascendant shards and ascendant energies and other things to upgrade this gear, because you're past the point where you're constantly replacing gear. So I mean, other than that, the bounties, it's a weird sort of hodgepodge of PvE and PvP content. The PvE ones, they're very similar. I feel like they only have a pool of about 4 or 5 bounties that they rotate in 3 spots each day. And the PvP ones, I appreciate the fact that Bungie is trying to alter people's gameplay, try to get them out of their comfort zone for the Crucible.
Right.
But it is difficult when you're, some of the PvP bounties are using scout rifles or hand cannons, which are
foot kills.
Well, no, they're headshot kills with these single shot weapons, where you have a PvP environment that's dominated almost entirely by automatic weapons and shotguns and things. So it is asking a lot.
For not a huge reward.
But you know what? It's if you I have an inner grinder inside of me that whenever a faction is introduced or whenever a group is introduced, I feel the need, for the sake of my own mental completion of a game, to do it, to get that rep, to get that level, to get an item that I can put on my character that says, hey, look at me, I'm special, I did this. Yeah. And I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that play the game, and that kind of appeals to them. But really, the event, it's more so for fresher 20s who are looking to gear up, and it is a good way in that it accomplishes that to some degree.
It did help me catch up. I will say that. I was messing around on it, and I'm so far behind. I got a few pieces of gear fairly quickly. It helped me, but
is it more for a cosmetic, boost? I mean, just all the gear that you get from the quartermaster is all shaders or ships or whatever. See, the gear for most of the people who are already 20 and above, it's kind of meh.
Right.
Well, yeah. I mean, so the way, for those listening who haven't done the Queen's Bounty, the way it works is, you have bounties just like you would have PvE or PvP bounties for every day. When you complete a bounty, you get a mission, and you have a separate mission that you can go do that is pretty much a hard mode level 24 mission that you can do with a fire team or by yourself, depending on what your level is. When you complete that, you have a chance to get one of 2 legendary pieces of gear for your character class. You also have a chance to get, I believe there's a sniper rifle that's for the faction, and they also have a legendary ship that's for the faction too. So if you're also one of those people, like some degree I am as well, that likes collecting, like ships or things like that, then it kind of fills that obsessive compulsive desire of yours in that way too. So no, I wouldn't say that the event is a failure. I would just say that taking away the ability to shard really diminishes the desire from any higher level character from doing the event.
Well, I mean, I guess I understand why they took away the ability. It would be too easy.
Yeah, I mean,
to upgrade your good weapon.
I mean, yeah. Once you reach the point where the gear itself isn't useful, then it became sort of a very easy way to get shards on a daily basis. I mean, you could upgrade a piece of gear in one day if you were really getting at it. So to some degree, yes, that was a good decision by them. But the problem is they didn't incorporate anything in the event. There really is no appealing factor in the event other than those shards for the higher level players. So I kind of feel like it's like, okay, I understand the audience you're going for, but they're the ones that have things to do in the game, and when you've reached a certain point outside of the Crucible and maybe the weekly Nightfall and the Vault, there isn't that much left for you to do.
No, I mean honestly, you can complete your week's worth of Destiny, like the things that you have to do every week, the Vault, the Nightfall, and weekly Heroic. You can do that in one day.
Yeah, if you're a grinder. Yeah.
I was gonna say, or if you're carried like me.
If you're a grinder.
Because you can knock out the Vault. We knocked out the Vault in
a couple hours.
2-3 hours tops. Then we turned around and did the Nightfall.
Yeah, well, the Nightfall was a
It was
special,
a fairly easy one.
The Nightfall was a special exception. Hopefully, and my hope too with the Nightfall is the last couple weeks of the Nightfall have been fine. The difficulty on it is fine. However, the mechanics of the final fight have been, I wouldn't say exploitable, but they have been somewhat. There is a workaround to both of the fights to make it significantly easier on that difficulty level. And my hope is that with their next Nightfall that they choose, they either pick an instance where that isn't the case, much like the first week, or they simply find a way to discourage that type of completion. Because the Nightfall is, I remember the first week we did the Nightfall, it was incredibly rewarding because it is actually very difficult content. The content of the Nightfall is more difficult than the raids because the stakes are a little bit higher in terms of your performance. So,
yeah, I mean, I remember being in the party and hearing the how rewarding that first week of Nightfall was.
Oh God, it was such a
profanity
grind. Such a grind.
I'm returning my game, and getting my money back.
Yeah,
uttered
no,
by,
it was
I think,
such a grind.
everybody.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, nice edit there, Kyle.
You like that?
Seamless transition.
I do my best.
Yeah,
I do my best.
Really good. Really
It's
quality
tricky.
work. That's
Really
again
tricky with the
life tips. Better than
It's like a razor blade.
the
and then you
Restiny.
Clip it. Then you
Yeah.
have to ripple delete so it slides it back over.
It's
Yeah,
great radio.
For those listening,
Right.
Paul went on a pretty heinous rant.
I was
about-
upset.
Yeah, that we had to edit out for its again. This guy, what an anti-Semite.
I was gonna say, I'm certain that
Jews this, Jews that,
They got all the money.
Jews with a wiffle
They
ball
got-
bat.
And they
We're
won't
now
share.
actually gonna have. We're gonna actually have to edit that out now, Paul. Jesus.
He was a Jew. Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean, allegedly. A Jew.
Anyway, so tell your friends about this awesome podcast.
You absolutely should. For multiple reasons. One, because it would really mean a lot to me. But you should definitely check out the website, which is www.betterthantheRestiny.com. There you can sign up for a thing called Random Musings, which I'll be completely honest with you, I have yet to decide what it means. I might just randomly send you an email letting you know how beautiful I think you are as a person. But there's also a chance that I'll let you know when our next episode's coming out, any other events we might be doing. You should definitely follow us on Twitter, which is @therestiny. We announce podcast episodes there, as well as when we stream. We do have one of our clan members, a member of the Better Than the Restiny clan, stream. Jesse, he does allegedly stream. He does no conviction, but he does stream for us, and it's fairly entertaining. That's the way I managed to see the first time we finished the vault, as we discussed earlier, because I was not allowed to be there. And then we, you can also tweet at us through that. We are going to try to have a presence on Reddit at some point, one way or another, where we can do some answering of questions and whatnot.
Yeah, and anytime you want to play, sorry for our brothers out there with PlayStation. We are all officially Xbox One users, and even our Xbox 360 brethren. We apologize for that too, but we're Xbox One. And if you want to find us at any time, add us. Maybe we can hit up some strikes or whatever. You can find me on there. My name is Your Pal Rabbit, all one word.
I'm Tazlantic.
And I am Maladead.
Maladead. Which stems from
You guys have such easily spellable names that I'm sure nobody can mess up simply by your pronunciation.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah.
Enunciation and pronunciation are very important in a podcast. We talked about this before we started recording, Jacob. But yeah.
I already messed it up. I couldn't even get through the first.
But definitely follow us. Rate, review, like on iTunes or any other SoundCloud. We still haven't quite figured out exactly everywhere we're going to be hosting this.
Yeah.
But you'll want to do all that because that really does help us. It helps with people being able to locate us the higher we are rated and different things like that. So those of you that have been listening now, 2 episodes, you're day oneers, and that is something. So
we'll be working out some T-shirt designs.
We will absolutely
get a hold of us. We'll get them out too.
But again, thank you for listening to the second episode of Better Than the Restiny, the podcast. It's quite a mouthful. Once again, my name was Kyle.
I'm Jacob.
And I'm PJ.
That's right. Y'all have a good one. Peace.
Legends in the making, they fight. chance of victory. You punk ass bitches, they're better than the rest.